Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to continue on with the all-time records series for each franchise. These records are regular season and they are current up to the finish of the 2022 regular season. So I'm going to go alphabetical. So today that does mean we are going to cover the Arizona Coyotes, which I recently actually got this jersey and I actually like it a lot more than I thought I would when I initially saw it. I do want to get it updated to both the Kachina and the previous branding with the black banding, but that will come in time. That being said, the Arizona Coyotes one is going to be a little bit different because it will include the franchise records for the Winnipeg Jets as well. Same franchise, just relocated. When I get to the Winnipeg Jets, that's going to include the Thrashers records as well. I do expect that those will skew the numbers a little bit. They may not seem quite right to the current location. And you'll see what I mean here shortly. So the Arizona Coyotes and Winnipeg Jets have a combined 42 seasons played. Of those 42 seasons, they have made 20 playoff appearances. The bulk of those were done in Winnipeg. The Stanley Cup record is nothing so far between the two franchises. And I unfortunately don't see it anytime in the foreseeable future that that's going to change. But this isn't a records, or this isn't a looking forward, this is a records thing. So we'll cover that at a different time. So between the two franchises, they have 7 jerseys that are either retired, which means they can't be used at all, or they have been honored. So think of the Ring of Honor or the Forever Flame programs in Vancouver and Calgary, respectively. So those numbers are 7, 9, 10, 19, 25, 27, and 97. I do believe officially the only actual retired number by the Arizona Coyotes is Shane Doan's number 19, which makes sense. He was with the franchise for like literally forever. I do believe he holds most of the all-time records. If anybody knows, let me know. Not something I delved into in this project currently. So, but yeah. So now we're going to look at the regular season all-time records for both franchises combined. So there's 1360 wins, 1518 losses, 266 ties, 172 overtime losses. So that's 1360 total wins versus 1956 total losses. I did qualify ties as losses because it was either win or not. So total games played is 3,316. So if you only have 1360 wins, that comes out to about 41% of their games they've actually won in the regular season. That's quite low, but I'm not entirely surprised. I bet you if I isolated Arizona's, that number would actually likely go down a hair. I do believe that the Jets were a pretty good team. It's a little bit before I really started getting into hockey as a kid, but I do believe the Winnipeg Jets did see a little more regular season success than the Coyotes did. So I could maybe take a look and do a breakdown on that and see what I find in another video. But that's a pretty low percentage. I would expect that that's probably one of the lower ones we're going to run into through this series. Now, here's a breakdown of that. So where the camera's currently obstructing the view, those are the goals for and goals against for the top, 5 teams. So I didn't really find it pertinent to really knuckle into them. There's no numbers in there that really stand out as dominant in there. Yeah, no, they're pretty well even. It's not like Arizona was running away on any one of these teams during these records. The one interesting one is the Ottawa Senators, which you guys can't see, is they actually have a negative goal differential, but they have a winning record. So I thought that was a little bit strange, but I digress. So the Arizona Coyotes, as of this season, with the introduction of the Seattle Kraken, which had to get knuckled into the Pacific Division. There was no other way that that was going to work. Um, they just moved over to the Central. So even though a lot of the totals are higher for Pacific Division teams, because that's where they were for so long, their current division is now the Central, which honestly doesn't look like it really hurt them all that much. Because, yeah, I'm looking and they had two teams in the Pacific that they had winning records against. But they actually have three teams in the Central. So that's the Nashville Predators, the Winnipeg Jets, the Colorado Avalanche, the Chicago Blackhawks, the St. Louis Blues, the Dallas Stars, and the Minnesota Wild. Unfortunately, it looks like it's still going to be a slog for Arizona if they're going to want to get back into contention and competing with these teams, because historically speaking, they have not done overly well. What I find really is not too much of a shock is down at the bottom, the Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, the Buffalo Sabres, and the Pittsburgh Penguins have them shooting under 0.4. But these are teams that, as you can see, they don't really see a whole lot. So I'm not really surprised when that happens with teams outside of the division or the conference. The fact that their percentage is so low with Minnesota kind of surprised me a little bit. But other than that, nothing really stands out. I really, really would hope that these numbers improve. But with the Colorado Avalanche being like they're on an upward swing right now, I don't expect that to improve next season. The Chicago Blackhawks, they might be able to get to break even within a couple seasons, I would hope. St. Louis, I don't see that getting any better. The Dallas Stars, probably not getting much better. And the current Winnipeg Jets, ironically enough, who Arizona has statistically done well against, I would think a good portion of that came from them competing against the Atlanta Thrashers. I could see that record improving, but a lot of these, there's no team other than Toronto. Oh, actually, Toronto, New Jersey, and Los Angeles are all teams. They have actually significant point percentages. I'm not counting Seattle right now because Seattle's going to have only a handful of games against each team, being its first season. But yeah, not a whole lot of surprise there. They're nearly 50% win record in their division, so I would think maybe that might help them, but they're really going to have to push and get into the mix with these teams. I've always found the Central is generally a stronger division than the Pacific, with your odd outliers beyond when the same basic group of teams in the 80s were pretty good. Again, your big two were Calgary and Edmonton at the time. But who knows? Maybe being back in the Central or being moved to the Central might do them some good. I know that the franchise wasn't overly happy because them being in the Central Division now means that their travel costs are going to go way up comparative to the Pacific. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? I would think the only other thing you could make work is move. Is it Vegas? Yeah, Vegas would have to move over to the Central, and that was not going to happen. No way that was going to happen. So, but yeah, I mean, moving out of the Central, they actually don't have as bad of a record against the Golden Knights as I had initially thought. Yeah, their points percentage isn't nearly as bad because Vegas has been pretty good for the most part since they've been in. I guess I wasn't paying that close of attention to them. Yeah, nothing else that really stands out goes, whoa. Except maybe the fact that they're. Oh, no. For a second there, it looked like Chicago was a break even, but Arizona had less wins. I'm like, that doesn't work. Colorado, that's another weird one. They have a 50% points percentage against Colorado at 60 wins, 60 losses, 12 ties, and 12 overtime losses. I never would have guessed that in a million years. And that is a team, they have a negative goal differential. Huh. The weird things that you realize when you put all the information in front of you. So, yeah, that's kind of what Arizona gets to look forward to moving into the Central Division. I don't see it doing them a whole lot of favors, but who knows? Moving forward, that those records could improve, and like I said, personally, I would hope so because I don't like seeing a team that's floating at like 40% points percentage. Like that's too low. That's a team that's not competitive. I'm one of those people. I want to see as much parity in the league as possible. I don't like teams that just run away forever and they're good for forever. Like even Detroit. So, quick fun fact: my dad was a fan of Detroit, so I kind of fell in line. So I have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for Detroit. But even by 2009, like their last Stanley Cup, I was just like, all right, I'm done looking at Detroit. Let's get somebody else. That's when Pittsburgh stepped in, and but I like Pittsburgh a lot more. But those are all for different videos. So yeah, that's just kind of an overview of the regular season records for the Arizona Coyotes / original Winnipeg Jets. Let me know what you guys think about the totals that you saw. If you guys have any interesting facts that you want to drop in the comments section below, please do so. If you did like the video, please drop a like. If you really liked it and you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. Every like, every follow does help. And we'll catch you on the next one. Until then, thank you and all the best.